right. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about a shout out for our host with the most, Jason and Alex? I like that we just accepted this hoverboard. No one questioned it, just accepted it. So I was told we're talking about fundraising, and in preparing for this, I thought about what is it that I would have wanted to know before I began my fundraising process? What are the things that made the biggest differences when I went out to fundraise? And so I managed to distill that into two specific items. One is what to do, and the other is what not to do. Now, before I talk about these two items, I'm going to share some context as to myself, my journey, my fundraising experience. Hopefully that becomes more relevant for some of you. So, as Alex mentioned, I started my first business when I was 14 years old. I know we're not allowed to swear, but it was a shitty family situation. My dad got sick, and I had to help out and make some money for my mom and sister. So I started going door to door, selling window cleaning in my Toronto neighborhood. So I grew this business throughout high school, throughout early days of university. We were doing almost 10,000 homes a summer. And eventually, I found myself selling to property managers, no longer homeowners. So that means that now we're servicing office buildings, condo buildings, apartment buildings. And as I'm sure you can imagine, there's a lot more zeros involved in that. And so property management spends over $500 billion a year on these service vendors, but the way in which they work together, it is painfully manual, inefficient. It's email, Excel, word of mouth, just these very old school industries. And that's really how VendorPM was born, right? Our mission is to modernize the way that vendors and property managers work together. And so we started the business in January of 2020, and within 4 or 5 months we said we're ready to go and raise our pre-seed. And we wanted to go and raise $1 million. A process that I thought would take maybe 12, 13 investor meetings, 4 or 5 weeks, ended up getting dragged out to about 4.5 months and 92 investor meetings. Not 92 unique investor meetings. There was many meetings with each investor as well. And so what that means is that I had 91 rejections, probably from some of you in this room, and 1 yes. Now, my seed round after my pre-seed and my Series A were fundamentally different experiences. So my seed round was a 7-day process, 7 term sheets, and we did a $6 million round led by Bessemer. Our Series A was meant to take place now, actually, end of Q3, beginning of Q4 of this year. That was preempted March or April of this year. That was a $20 million equity round, $5 million debt round. We didn't have a pitch deck. We did have a data room. We needed that. And so I guess the question becomes, why was the pre-seed so much different from the seed and the Series A? So after about 85, 86 rejections, I got on a Zoom call, because COVID, with an incredible Toronto founder. He had raised about $45 million to date, USD of course, an incredibly successful business. And he said, pitch me the way that you would pitch a VC. And so I did. And he said, well, I know what you're doing wrong. He said, you're approaching this as if you're interviewing for a job, and the VC is the employer. He said, you need to inverse that. You need to flip the script entirely. This is your business and you're in control. And logically, it made a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, it's your mission, it's your cap table, your vision. There's thousands of investors, but there's only one of you in your business. So they should be fighting for your business, right? And so I really embodied that. I mean, as an example, when I would show up to my next pitch, I would say something along the lines of, look, you're an incredible fund, you're a great partner, you could spend time with any founder. Why did you choose to spend 45 minutes with me? Why do you believe that VendorPM is going to win? And what happens is, it's kind of fun, they start to pitch you, right? And you completely flip the script. I mean, proof is in the data. Within a matter of a few meetings, I had closed that $1 million pre-seed. I applied that same logic to my seed and my Series A, which of course went very well relative to my pre-seed. So that's what to do, what not to do. Again, I bring this back to my experience raising that pre-seed. It's almost impossible to not have 91 rejections take a toll on you. And at some point you start to question, am I not good enough as a founder? Is my business not good enough? Is there a problem with my pricing model, who we're selling to? And you start to lose focus. That's the consequence. You have 3 VCs that told you this, and so you build this feature as a result. Or you have 5 VCs that told you this market segment isn't big enough, so you go after another market segment. But that's not the mission that you set out to achieve in the first place. That's not the focus. And at such an early stage, I mean, the most important thing, the most critical thing we have is focus, right? And so the lesson there, the learning, what not to do is to not compromise that focus and to ultimately stay focused on what you know to be your purpose and your mission. And so I guess to summarize the first piece here, again, the to-do is to run your process, to be in control. Treat it as if you're interviewing the VC for a job and you are the employer. And what not to do, don't lose focus, stay true to your mission, because like my pre-seed, it was 91 no's, but all it took was one yes to turn it around. Thank you.
Questions? No questions? Oh, okay. I guess I don't do the hoverboard, sorry.
A lot of people say when you get a rejection, listen to the no but not the why. What was your experience with that?
Listen to the no but not the why?
Yeah, like sometimes VCs will just tell you the easy answer. Oftentimes people will tell me that the VCs will just tell you the easy answer, like, oh, it's just not an industry I want to invest in, or, but that's not necessarily the truthful answer. How did you figure out what feedback to take or not to take?
Again, it was largely these learnings during the pre-seed specifically. I just kept an Excel Google sheet where I wrote down every objection and then I tallied how many times I heard that objection, right? And you sort of pattern match. If you hear it 20 times, maybe there is some validity to it. But at the same time, these VCs are not in your business. They are not grueling and sweating and sacrificing the way that you are. And so it's almost silly to think that they know better than you when it's your business, right? And so, like I said, it's your mission. You should stay focused on that. More shoes?
Thanks. What was the number one objection you got, and did you overcome it? Did you get ahead of it? How did you navigate it?
You know, I think the number one objection I got, and I'm sure any founder in the room can relate, is, oh, you're just too early, right? And I think that's a VC's, no swearing, a VC's nice way of saying, like, F off, right? No, I'm not interested. And so you keep growing, and you become bigger, and then you make them regret saying no.
Okay, last question. How did you go about finding the founders you want to work with as opposed to the ones that you don't want to work with? If that was, the case.
Are you referring to co-founders?
Yeah.
So in my instance, I'll give the quick story here. And by the way, I mean, you haven't introduced yourself, but Mark was actually part of that window cleaning business when we were, in high school. I just ran into each other today. So when I actually started VendorPM, I had a technical co-founder. I ended up firing that co-founder a month in. So clearly I'm not the best at picking. They just simply couldn't keep up. The founding team, which came together only a few months after that, they're my best friends. Now, the interesting part is, you're told don't go into business with family, they're best friends, there might be truth in that, but at the end of the day, if I were to have interviewed these people, having never met them before, I would hire them all over again. And so I think, you need to look for people that are as driven and motivated to achieve the mission that you set out to achieve, people that you can go through hard times together with, and ultimately at this stage is just they stay focused and they roll up their sleeves and they get done what needs to get done.
Thank you. Round of applause for Emiel.